No. Rhodri.
Is there anything that Lionel Messi is better than you at?
It's opinions. I respect your opinions. Maybe in your opinion Messi is better than me, but in my mind I'm better than him.
I do it again.
Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Told her if it's all me, everything is on me. Gon' back it up. Matter what? Told you I'ma do me. Why you hating on me? It's not adding up. Do roll like a Mack truck, country heart. I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month. I don't rap much. I just hit the money and go stack up. Only buy a car till you tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. No fault, I done doubled up on the workload. I think I fell in love with the bankroll. Pray up, get money, then we lay low. Add it up.
Hey guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, the home of Rhodri Giggs on football. We are up to episode 10 already. We are live on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. Ace Podcast Nation, of course, your home to many great shows and series featuring top guests, expert analysts and more. So please give us a follow on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the bell for notifications, all that good stuff. And if you can prefer your podcast in audio form, we're, of course, part of the Sports Social Podcast Network, the UK's first dedicated sports podcast network. So you can find this show and all the other shows we do over there, the sportssocial.co.uk. But just as we wait for a few of the latecomers, a little bit of housekeeping. As you know, we're supporting the charity Super 6 League this season, helping to raise money for two great charities. You've got Maggie Centre and the Mind Mental Health Charity. And the update for the week is Ian Dell topped the pile this week on 14 points. He's moved up to 39th in the table. And look who's back from oblivion. Gareth Price also with 14 points, back up to third in the table. But all hail Reece Ireson, who's had his third consecutive week at the top of the league. Gavin Gordon, ex-Cardiff City, has a great round, topped the celebrity table for the week. Unfortunately, myself and Rhodri came second and is now only 26 points behind. So I better start upping my game just a little bit. Next round is Saturday, 3 o'clock. So get your predictions in. Don't forget, not that it makes any difference whatsoever whether I do my predictions or not. I tend to get a solid 2 points either way. But
so I'm what 26. So I'm 26 points behind. Do you need to tell Adrian that you had a 5-game start on me as well?
No, mate, I don't know what you're on about. We both started at the same time, and I've got a 26-point football knowledge gap between us. So it must be that's what it is, mate. But as always, joined by Ex Salford City winger and manager, Mr. Rhodri Giggs. Welcome, my friend.
Yeah, mate. You all right?
Yeah, mate. Good. Looking forward to the next week or so. A few
got
different
my t-shirt
going on. There we go. Oh, shout out to Away Day Apparel, mate. Gotta love it.
Style haven't changed.
That's it. And joining us today, we have a special guest as well. So one of Rhodri's former teammates. He's coached all over the UK and indeed the world. Former Morocco head of goalkeeping and current England goalkeeping coach. So Adrian Tucker joins us. How are you, mate?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Thanks for the welcome. Nice to see you, and nice to see you as well, Rod, again.
Oh, yeah. Last time I've seen you, I was beating you at golf.
It's funny enough. I was fancying a couple of holes this morning, and I thought of you. Yeah, last time I would have played near enough.
Bet it was windy up there this morning, huh?
No, it's been a nice winter's day today, so it hasn't been too bad. But I've been quite busy on the laptop today, so I haven't been able to get out.
Oh. There we go. You played golf this week, Rod?
Yesterday.
Any good?
Average.
See, 26-point difference, mate. No, nothing average about that. Nothing average about that. Look, like I'm sure we'll get a load of questions and stuff throughout the show, and we'll get some questions for Adrian. I have no doubt. But there's been a few big stories around the week of football, and it's quite apt that we got another football coach joining us, because it's been a busy week in the managerial merry-go-round. You got Xavi looks as if he's going to take over at Barcelona. Conte's in at Spurs. Looks like Eddie Howe's going in at Newcastle. Solskjaer is clinging on with the help of Ronaldo, and Cardiff are still on the hunt for a manager and a win. But I don't know where to start really with it all. I suppose, Rhodri, like, you're a Man United fan, mate, so we'll start there and we'll kind of move through it. But like Solskjaer, just the way they're playing with that group of players, the pressure's just building, isn't it? Regardless if Ronaldo keeps saving him, he's in trouble. You're muted, mate. You're muted. There you go. You're muted. Still muted.
Sorry, mate. It's the fire that's going off. I don't think he's under pressure massively, because I don't think he's going to get sacked in season unless they plummet, massively. So, it's a big game tomorrow. They get a result tomorrow.
It's been a good week.
Yeah, it's been a good week. So, it's a tall ask, because City are an elite team. So if City perform, United will struggle. But after last week as well, I think it's going to be a real tight game. If it's not, they will get beat. So it's going to have to be a tight game, and just hope Ronaldo pulls you out of the bag again. But he's under pressure. He's under pressure. You're always under pressure at Man United, especially after the last month. So there's some idiots still, wishing we'd lose, and so they're idiots. So, but yeah, you're always under pressure at Man United. But yeah, and over the last month and Ronaldo, if we didn't have Ronaldo, where would we be?
Oh, mate, I really think, because I take the Spurs game out of it almost, because Spurs was so bad that, like, I didn't even think United were that good. The one goal they scored against Atlanta, I think it was the Atlanta goal was superb. I think they scored a particularly good goal against Spurs as well. But I didn't think United were like outstanding. I just thought Spurs were dreadful. But the Atlanta game, if they play like that against Man City, man, I fear it could be like 5-6.
They didn't play necessarily well against Spurs, but they closed down and pressed in bunches, and they look like they worked harder. I don't know where that's gone, because the stats will tell you this: 18th or 19th hardest working team in the Premier League. So that can't be right. So, but yeah, the Tottenham game, I agree with you. Tottenham were hopeless, but United did. The work rate, you could see it was up a level, and Tottenham weren't great, like you say.
Adrian, were you surprised how quickly Spurs got rid of Nuno and got Conte in just as quickly? Because they gave, I think Nuno was 7 games. It's not much time to adapt.
Well, I'm not surprised, no, but that's not down to the job he was doing, because nothing really surprises me in football nowadays. Some managers, people say you're only 6 games away from the sack in a way, but I think it was a bit harsh, a bit early for him. Yes, he's trying to find his feet at Tottenham. I think, there's probably things behind it. He wasn't the first choice. He probably wasn't the second or third choice to go in at Tottenham. And, I think with the owner, Daniel Levy obviously wants success at Tottenham. They spent a lot of money on and off the field in recent years, and probably thought now was a good time to do it. I've listened to the radio like you guys this week, and people were talking about Conte, and I've seen Conte's remarks in why he didn't come first time round, and why he's now available to come. And maybe there is truth in that he wasn't ready at the time in the summer, and now he is, and obviously now he's been appointed. So football's a funny game, as we all know, and I'm not surprised managers get sacked when they do get sacked, because that's the way football is, unfortunately. What do I agree with it? On time, certainly not, but it doesn't surprise me. And Nuno's a very good manager. He's proved that in the Premier League with Wolverhampton, and no doubt he'll be back in a hot seat sooner rather than later somewhere else.
Yeah, it was a bit. It's difficult, isn't it? Like, you come in from Wolves, where the majority of the squad speak Portuguese, which is obviously his first language. Then you go into Spurs, where you haven't got that almost comfort. But also, he didn't really even have a window. Like, he had half a window, if you like it, in the summer. But Rhodri, like Adrian made a point there about Nuno not being Spurs' first choice. I do feel like, from Conte's comments about the summer and stuff, and the conversations he had with Levy, I wonder if he was the first choice. And then where he started to be linked with Newcastle, Man United, all these different football clubs, Daniel Levy's thought, right, this is not working. If he's ready to get back into football, and he's moved extremely quickly to get him in. I mean, do you think Conte was probably his first choice?
Yeah, probably. Most probably, yeah. And, he's quite, by hearing being at other clubs, he's quite demanding. With Inter, he was demanding with the players that he wanted, and if he didn't get them, then he was off. It was kind of the same. Well, not. It's kind of the same at Chelsea. He had a good stint there at Chelsea, but he doesn't really stay at places long, does he? So,
no.
But it's a great fit for Tottenham. It's what Tottenham needs, because Tottenham is, they just seem to be strolling about. Harry Kane, and we've talked about it many times. What has happened to him, I do not know. So, yeah, for me, goalkeepers should stay in the lane and stick to coaching goalkeeping.
No comment. No, but the Tottenham, it is an interesting, but I think he's a great appointment for Tottenham, no doubt about it, as a top manager, and he proved that in the Premier League and Saturday recently as well. So it will be interesting dynamics. Obviously I don't know Daniel Levy at all, but the comments that you hear about him as an individual and how he runs a club, and how he's running in the past. So I'm sure there'll be some differences along the way with Conte as a manager, but I'm sure the right things will come for Tottenham Hotspur further down the line, and I only see him going one way, and that's further up the league now and collecting more points as the season goes on.
Leslie in the live chat makes a good point. He said, you've got Eddie Howe going into Newcastle now. It's agreed in principle. That's another manager who's not first choice. So again, he could be gone very quickly, depending on if he doesn't get a good run of results to start out, which is it's problematic, isn't it? And I think Newcastle.
That's what's going to happen there. That's what happened at City. If you don't win games, you're out. It'll be as simple as that.
It's the same anyway.
They're just getting stepping stones. That's why probably Emery didn't want to go, thinking, do I really want to go here? I'm in a Champions League side. I'm set. Do I really want to go to this circus right now?
And he suffered it with Arsenal, mate, didn't he? He went in and didn't really get a lot of time.
Exactly, and he's a really good coach. You've seen that at Seville, and then now he's going to Villarreal, and you can see that Villarreal have turned the corner as well. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. But Newcastle, if you don't perform, you don't get results. Like Adrian says, you're 6 games away from being sacked, especially there now.
Yeah, and that goes for someone like Conte or anybody as well. Going into Tottenham, if he doesn't get results in the first 10 games. There'll be changes to be made again and again, and I think that's the same at most clubs nowadays, unfortunately. But Newcastle, I was fortunate enough to live up in the northeast for 3 or 4 years, and it's a fantastic area, hotbed for football. The fans are absolutely unbelievable. Whether it's Newcastle, Sunderland, Middlesbrough, they love their football up that way, and they just want the best for their clubs up that neck of the woods. So. I think if Eddie Howe does go in there, he'll be a good fit for them. He's a surprise appointment in a way, because with all the money they say that they have to spend out there, you would have expected them to go for a really established manager with a proven track record, I think, of winning things with the money they've got to spend. But then again, for what Eddie Howe done with Bournemouth and the success he had with Bournemouth, albeit finishing mid-table in the first year, he done that on a fairly small budget, although he was supported off the field with the backers that they have there down at Bournemouth. He done an excellent job there, and with a little bit more finance under his belt and a little bit more support from a club going predominantly in the right direction now, I'm sure he can be a success up there also. But I do think they do cover their backsides a little bit in the shorter term contracts nowadays, that if things don't work out, then, you know, people get moved on, unfortunately, again.
I think the one thing that Eddie Howe will bring is he will bring nice football to watch for the fans. And I think one of the problems with Steve Bruce versus the fans, because they never kind of really took to him, I think is probably the way he's quite pragmatic in his setup and stuff like that. Whereas over the years, you know, Newcastle have had some managers and, you know, the Keegans of the world who've played very attacking way. They'd like to play a certain way. They like to be entertained. So I think Eddie Howe will bring that. So I think from the fans' point of view, they're probably quite happy with the appointment. But yeah, I agree with you, Adrian. I was a little bit surprised it wasn't perhaps a bit more of a top European name. But, you know, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way to Eddie Howe, but if you look at the way kind of Chelsea and Man City did after they got these big investors in Abramovich and the royal family, is that they kind of built their way up to, you know, the likes of Pep and Conte and people like this. They kind of just moved the managers in nice and quickly, didn't they? In and out, depending on how they're doing. Di Matteo won the Champions League and still got sacked. So, you know, I think they're not afraid to make those decisions with regards to managers. Just jumping about a little bit, because I also do want to get to the questions with Adrian about Adrian's career and the coaching side of things as well. You mentioned, Rod, Harry Kane. When I saw that England squad earlier this week, and bear in mind I'm about as Welsh as they come, couldn't really care less about who is not in the England squad and who's in the England squad. I couldn't believe my eyes, because Gareth Southgate took a lot of credit, rightly so, for the way he's done the job, but also for picking players on form. And you look at it and you've got Harry Maguire is not fit, or there's something going on somewhere, because he's come back from injury.
John Stones can't get a game for City.
John Stones is not playing for City. Luke Shaw is not.
I've seen an interview with him today at Sky Sports saying he's pretty consistent. That's why he's left Mason Greenwood out, Mason Greenwood out. Mason
Greenwood not being in that squad, mate, is
Ben White.
Mind-boggling. I don't think Rashford should be in there, mate. Simply because he's only just come back. How can you pick him?
He's come
2
back.
games back.
He scored 2 in 3 or 3 in 2 or something. So he scored and he looks sharp. So,
but how many goals did Greenwood score at the start of the season?
Oh no,
and he has missed out on 2 or 3 spots.
I agree. Conor Gallagher should be looking. He should be there or thereabouts. Who else was there? Definitely Ben White and Mings. Yeah. Tyrone Mings. He was on the bench because he's been rubbish for Villa on the weekend. So yeah,
there's a couple of Palace players who I think are knocking on the door.
No, Harry Maguire, I agree with you. He's been,
rest him.
And Harry Kane as well. Yes, he's your captain, but he's been shocking. He's not scored a goal for a month.
Bad attitude, mate. That people agreed with you in that clip, mate. People said his attitude stinks, and I think it's a fair comment. I think it'd be interesting to see now. The new man.
Well, Adrian was saying about Daniel Levy's not had a great year this year. It's Harry Kane business, and then bringing the wrong manager in. It's not great. This is why Manchester United have got a kind of tradition that Ollie's kept in the job, even though if it was at Real Madrid, if it was at Barcelona, if it was at Chelsea, he'd be down the road, he'd be gone, because it's Manchester United. He's been given the saving grace, but yeah, it's ridiculous.
So, Will Melius just said he thought that Greenwood had said that he didn't want to be selected for England at the moment, as he needed to concentrate on cementing his United position. But also,
he's probably just agreeing with him. He's just probably going to agree with him. Who in the right mind's not going to want to play for the country? Please.
Exactly that, mate. And the other thing is, didn't he get him and Foden got dropped, didn't they, for breaking the bubble rules? But Foden seems to have been, from the outside at least, Foden seems to have been forgiven, but Greenwood hasn't been in the squad since, despite scoring and playing regularly well. And then you've got players like So I can't remember, just going off the top of my head, you had Harry Kane, who's bang out of form and looked like he's had a really bad attitude. I think you've also got the Tammy Abrahams, who I think is he's a good footballer. I'm not convinced that he's an international footballer at this moment in time, but I think he's got off to a pretty decent start for Roma. He's gone, haven't he? Tammy Abrahams. Adrian, did you have any contact with Tammy Abrahams when you were at Swansea as coach?
No, he came in after me at Tammy. To be fair, I know he had a great season when he did go in at Swansea. No, I can't comment on him at Swansea, unfortunately. But obviously, he was a little bit surplus to requirements at Chelsea. Obviously, impressed Mourinho in his time when he was at Chelsea. So it's a fantastic move for him. So no, the only Abraham I've been lucky to work with was his brother Timmy at Bristol Rovers.
There we go. Adrian, as a coach, especially someone who works with young footballers, is it quite refreshing and good to see these young footballers going out to European clubs, like top European clubs, the likes of Dortmund, and you had Ethan Ampadu went out and played in Germany as well, didn't he? And Tammy Abrahams, is that encouraging? Because that was never the way years and years ago, was it? Unless they went on loan through feeder clubs.
Yeah, I think when we were growing up, there weren't that many that actually that went abroad, was there? If I can remember, that it was like sort of, Lineker went abroad, Mark Hughes went abroad, Gaza went abroad, them type of thing. I know one or two others did, during their time, but there wasn't that many, and certainly not young players under the age of sort of 21, 22. But certainly there are opportunities for the players of the likes that you mentioned there about going abroad. I think it's great for them. Yes, they can go away, they can experience a new culture, a new club, obviously playing styles, playing environments, new language, etc. But I also think it's a little bit disappointing that these type of players can't get games in the Premier League. For whatever reason that may be. If you're talking players like Ampadu, for instance, as a Welsh individual, you'd love to be seeing him playing in the Premier League week in, week out. But I know he had a stint at Sheffield United last year, was it, when they were in the Premier League? Off the top of my head, I can't remember how regular he was in that team. I think a little bit in and out, but which is disappointing. But he's a top player, no doubt about it. But him and one or two others experiencing trips abroad, it's great for them at a young age. And you see a lot of the clubs now. Chelsea got that link with, or had the link with Vitesse Arnhem. If it still goes on, there's another one or two other clubs that have links with foreign clubs, and it does give these players experience at a really good level, which is probably above and beyond what they could experience here in, all due respect, League One, League Two, or under 23 football in their own club environment. Yeah,
well, in a lot of cases, they're playing Champions League football as well, aren't they? And in first team football, like you say. So I think it's definitely a step in the right direction for the development of young players. And you look at Sancho, I know it hasn't worked out at the moment for him when he's come back, but obviously he made a big decision to leave Man City. Has come back, obviously, after a great stint in Germany. It hasn't quite clicked for him. I think it will, though.
Jude Bellingham's doing really well as well.
Yeah. Well, that was interesting as well. I mentioned Foden and Greenwood. Greenwood and Bellingham were the two names that people were questioning why they weren't in the last squad. And then, of course, this time round, Bellingham's in, but Greenwood's still not there. It's fascinating to see the difference in it. So let's have a look. There was something I wanted to put to both of you, and I can't find it now. Rob Boyle said, "What's your thoughts on Wilfried Zaha not wanting an Ivory Coast call-up at the moment due to travel sickness?" What do you reckon about that, Rhodri?
Has he played for him before?
Yeah, he's got quite a few caps, I think, because he chose them over England, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't. Why would you not want to go? Why would it wouldn't be? Whatever excuse could it be?
So, yeah, it's a strange one because I think I'm going to just have a look now and see how many times he's played.
It won't be the first time a football player's not gone in international duty.
Well, you don't say, mate. You don't say. Is it a friendly, this one, or is it an important
No, but I told you it won't be the first, it won't be the last.
I like it. So here we go. Rhodri, Leslie said, "Here's a tip for you: 25-1 Harry Maguire to score a header tomorrow." I don't think
they might get the form back there in England. You're playing it. Who they playing? Not really. Who's got next couple of games? England.
Oh, I'm not actually sure. Like I say, I don't always
follow. Albania and San Marino, I think, isn't it?
Oh, there you go. So
Well, there you go. It's Albania and San Marino, and they've already qualified. So if it was me, and I'll put the question to you two now. But if I'm Gareth Southgate, I would be calling up the likes of Bellingham, Greenwood, Ollie Watkins, all these, a couple of the Palace boys, Gallagher, to have a real good look at them in training over a couple of weeks or 10 days or whatever it is. Have a real good look at them, their attitude, how they're going to do in that situation, so you know what tools you've got to pick from when you've got to pick for the big games. But he's kind of gone with the same tried and tested, which I guess I get, but it's interesting. I gotta say, what would you have done, Rhodri? Would you have had a look at a few players which weren't previously in squad?
I thought you play people in form, not pick people because they played for England before. Yes, you keep your core who have been playing well, but the ones that are in form, you pick them. It's pretty simple, but it never happens. It always seems to be the same core of players, especially with England. So, but they've got depth to choose from.
Ridiculous.
They've got a good luxury, so it's a good problem to have for him. But when he says he's pretty consistent, well, he's not, because of the names we've just mentioned.
Yeah, 100%. Adrian, what about you? Who was you picking? Would you have wanted to have a look at some more players, or can you understand it from both sides?
Yeah, I can understand people making comments about why people are not in the squad and why people are not in the squad. But knowing working within the sort of system there at England at the moment, there's nothing is not thought about in depth. There's a lot of work that goes on between all across all squads. From the under 15s through to the senior squad, and Gareth is a key part of that and what goes on, no doubt. And there's conversations throughout, and there's reasons around that. And players come and go, young players come in, young players go out. I don't think it's a case that he hasn't given people opportunities in the past. And all I would say, if he selected players for these next two games, there's a reason behind it, and if he left players out, there's a reason behind that too. So you just fully, from my point of view and the position I'm in, in working in the England setup now at the moment, there's no doubt that it's not just a case of not taking all the information on board of club form and other things that have gone on in the past. A lot of it is thought about in great detail, and a selection process and a squad is picked on that front.
Yeah, you've got to remember as well, Sad. He does know these people. They've come through the ranks, so he has got a relationship with most of them. So
he knows them. He knows them all. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how much he knows about every single player out there. Some of the names that you've mentioned there with the under 21s. He's worked with a lot of these players over the period of time when he was involved with the under 21s, and they might have been then under 18s and 19s. So he would have had a close eye on these. So, as I said, there's reasons for it as a selection. Yes, they're playing Albania, and yes, they're playing San Marino, but it's still an important games for England in going forward. So yeah, what will be will be.
Yeah, it's a chance for Harry Kane and Harry Maguire to pick up form and to get fitness, I suppose, and it's the only thing they can do at the minute because they're not playing great. So you've got to work your way back into form.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I was going to ask you, Adrian, how closely, like to the under 18s, do they train separately to everyone, or are they kind of integrated with the 21s and the first team, or is it very separate in terms of like the training camps and things like that?
Yeah, well, in the international camps, there's age groups that are going out all over Europe, to be fair, and sometimes all over the world. Obviously, at the moment with COVID, there's a few restrictions on how far teams are prepared to travel. I was only in camp last week with an under 15 age group with England. There's a talent ID group for 4 days. Next week I'm in, I think it's in Spain, in the Pinatar tournament where our under 18s play against Netherlands. We got Netherlands, Portugal, and Belgium. So three really good internationals. At the same time, the under 19s are away in Sweden. They've got an international tournament out there as a Euro qualifier. And the 17s at the moment, they're away. I've just come back from a tournament in Belarus where they qualified through. And the under 16s are currently in France on a tournament. The 21s, they meet up again next week, and obviously you've got the seniors. So there's loads going on with all the different squads. But like I said, with the under 18s, we'll have our squad and our camp put together. We'll have players selected for that squad. But even today, we have the squads go out, but you have pullouts, you have dropouts, you have players that are not fit from their clubs, players that can't make it for whatever reason, and players work up and down the system. And some of the 17s might come into us at the under 18s. Some of the the better ones might drop down from the 19s to the 18s, depending on obviously the age factor as well. So, as I said previously, the actual crossover between all the different squads and the understanding with all the national team coaches, is excellent. Everybody knows what's going on. We all work together with a selection of squads and goalkeepers as well, all the way through. So we have a process in place, and everybody works to that.
Good stuff. A few questions for you, Adrian, from the live chat. Some interesting ones. The first one, which has come up a couple of times actually, is do you support Cardiff or Swansea?
Well, over my time, if I'm honest, if you want to know the true story, I was born and bred in Merthyr Tydfil. So growing up, my dad always used to take me to Ninian Park from the age of 8. So I probably went down there while I was, for a good 4 or 5 years, or even longer, to be fair. So it was probably Cardiff, if I'm honest, as a younger age group. I'm a Man City fan first and foremost, mate, let me tell you, and I have been for the last 40 years. Before anybody says I'm a bit of a glory hunter. 81 Cup final when they played Tottenham. I like the kit, colour blue, and I started supporting City from there, where a former colleague of mine, Tommy Hutchinson, scored in both goals there. One for City and an own goal, then in the opposite end. But then obviously I went to work at Swansea when I first went into the club football. And to be fair, Swansea City give me I got a real soft spot for them, and you still follow them. And I know there's rivalry through the South Wales area with Cardiff and Swansea, but listen, I'm a professional individual, and if I say I look out for both teams' results on a Saturday, I would. And when they do currently play each other, do I really support anybody? No, if I'm honest, I just watch the game as a neutral, and I sincerely mean that. I've been down to Swansea games this season to watch players and people that are in the England system, and I've also been to Cardiff as recently as a week last Saturday watching the Middlesbrough game. So I try and stay in touch with everything that's going on. To be a football fan of South Wales more than anything.
Good stuff. The other thing I was going to ask you, obviously you've got a very strong English accent. So what was it like, sort of going into the England system? You got a little bit of stick and stuff from your colleagues and that, and also what's it like when the under 18s played Wales?
Yeah. Well, a couple of questions there in one. First and foremost, I'm actually the only Welsh individual in my family, which I mean by my mum and dad, brother and sister. They're all born across the border in Bristol. Oh, okay. So I've actually got a lot of English sort of within the blood as well. So that helped a little. But on my first day in the job with the FA, previously I worked with the under 20s a few years ago when I doubled that up when I was working at Sunderland. But then I obviously finished that up, and in recent times just come back in the last sort of 6 months. And actually when I done my presentation to a few of the guys on at the St George's Park I put up a slide saying, this is how I've got the qualifications for to work for England, just to let you know. And there was a big gasp as if, this big time Charlie here. But I actually just said my mum's from Luton, my father's from Bristol, my dad's from Bristol, and my brother and sister are also from Bristol. So I think that gives me a right to actually work here at St George's Park with you guys. So I think I qualify on that front.
Yeah.
Regards the England Wales, I was part of actually an under-16 game. My first international game, in fact, back in July was an under-16 game. So obviously it was strange being in an opposite dugout there, and you always have a bit of banter about singing the anthem and this, that, and the other. So yeah, I just stayed quiet on both of them on that one, and I mumbled both of them to myself, I think, if I'm right.
Craig Sullivan wants to know, is it strange that there's two Welshmen involved within the English goalkeeper setup? Because obviously you've got Martin Margetson has been in there as well.
I thought he was Welsh.
Yeah, he is. That's what I mean. So with him and Adrian, you've got two Welshmen within the sort of goalkeeping system for the England coaching staff.
But you touched on it there. If you're professional, it doesn't
it's
matter.
about getting the best man for the job, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's I for those of the individuals that don't know my sort of path, I work for the Welsh Football Trust as it is now, and the FAW for 13 years. From the age of from the age of 20, I think it was, before I went down to Swansea. So I had 13 years there working in the department. Unfortunately for me at the time, I think goalkeeping was a sort of little bit of a sideshow, if I'm honest, and the development of goalkeeping was a little bit of a sideshow, and probably didn't have the investment that probably it actually deserved. I don't know at the moment. I haven't been in the sort of system for so long, but I like to think that with the experience I've gained, people recognise sort of the qualities I've had. That there's been opportunities, no doubt, for people to pick up the phone and ask me to do some jobs with the Welsh FA in the past, but the phone hasn't rung on that front, so I haven't had to make a decision. So jobs come up and jobs go. I was approached by the English FA about joining them. As I said, I'd been previously employed with them on a part-time basis with the under-20s a few years ago, and the opportunity came about, and so that's where I'm employed. But same with Martin. Martin left the Welsh setup to join England. England's a massive. At the time, England, a top. I don't know what the actual ranking is. They're certainly in the top 5 in the world ranking, I think, at the moment.
Absolutely.
So it's a massive organisation. I think there's over 400 people employed there. To just get your heads around different departments. And it is a privilege and an honour to work within such an environment. Working with some top level coaches. In both the male and female games. From as goalkeeper coaches and outfield coaches as well.
Yeah, my oldest boy is a goalkeeper who was kind of in and out of the academy systems and that with Taftswell and Cardiff and stuff, and there's a massive difference to how they coach the goalkeepers when he first started, when he first went into the system at sort of 8, 9, the goalkeepers were almost expected to just train as an outfield player and then go in goal for the game at the end, whereas sort of by the time as he's come out of it now, so 16, 17, they're you have a full sort of 40, 50 minutes of goalkeeper training, and then you'll join the outfield players for the last little part of the session. And I think it makes such a difference. But it's all about evolution as well. I think in terms of we've talked a lot in recent weeks about tactics and managerial side of football evolving over time, and the game's different. But I think training techniques are also different as well. Do you see big differences from when you first started coaching to now?
Yeah, even going back, as you know, myself and Rhodri were down at Torquay United together, and Rhodri probably we used to have a goalkeeper coach come in once a week called Len Bond. He used to come in once a week to work with the goalkeepers, and that was the first experience I had. But you're right, as time has involved, we've done I've been part of the UEFA group putting together coaching courses in the UK, working with my colleagues in, from the English FA, Welsh FA, Irish FA, Northern Ireland Association, and also in Scotland, putting a program together to develop coaches in the UK and Europe. And yeah, if you look at it now, every football club in England, if I talk about the English system, when you talk about the academy system, they all need a goalkeeper coach working in the first team environment. There needs to be a minimum of 2 academy goalkeeper coaches with a minimum of a UEFA B license for goalkeeping, working in the academy system as part of what they call the E-Triple-P program. So yeah, there's massive opportunities for goalkeeping coaches, not just to become a goalkeeping coach, but also to like myself, I've been fortunate enough to be employed as a goalkeeper coach or a coach for over 25 years now, and it's fantastic. And I'm running courses now with the English FA at B license level and A license level, and it's fantastic to see the new goalkeeper coaches come into the system. And then within that, we're also devising, courses, and as you mentioned about evolving courses, as times change within the game. And even myself, I find myself as a goalkeeper coach, always updating my thoughts and my methods based on things that are happening in the game, because you have to change them, and that's what I try to do. And I also try to pass on my experiences and knowledge, to individuals that are actually coming on the courses at the moment. So from a coaching point of view, it's fantastic, and obviously that then feeds down into the club environment with the individuals, whether they be male or female, at whatever age group it is at them particular clubs. And that, as you mentioned there could be Taftswell. I went down to Taftswell, I think 18 months ago, and done a session with a goalkeeper coach down there, and it was great. Taftswell in the feeder leagues of the Welsh system, we've got a goalkeeper coach that goes down there. That's brilliant. That would be unheard of probably 5 or 6 years ago. So it's great to see that happening, and hopefully it'll continue.
Spot on. Rhodri, what do you remember of playing alongside Adrian? And
apart from having hair,
well,
we had 2 goalkeepers, didn't we? So what was the other kid called?
Tim Thornley.
Tim, that was it, Tim. So yeah,
he used to sell all the dodgy gear with all that.
Yeah. No, he was a good goalkeeper. Like, we only I was only there 6-7 months, unfortunately. But no, yeah, it was a good goalkeeper, and to go on to what he's done is fantastic. So yeah, he's only going to get better. So with what he just said there, he's always learning. He's never sitting on his hands. He's always getting better. So yeah, he's not many people who started at Torquay, end up being at Wales and then end up coaching at England. So yeah, it's a credit to him.
What was it? How did the Morocco thing come around, Adrian? And what was that like as an experience? Because it's not the first country you think of in terms of when you're doing your coaching badges in the UK that you might end up in. Was it North Africa? Is it or?
Yeah, North Africa. Yeah, it's actually
geography. Rhodri, just pointing out, mate.
It's actually only a short boat ride from Gibraltar, so to just across the way to North Africa. Yeah. It came. How did it come about? You may know Ocean Roberts. So you heard about Ocean Roberts, who used to be the technical director of the Welsh FA and assistant manager to Chris Coleman and Gary Speed and many others in recent years. Osh went across to Morocco. Had an opportunity to go across there as a technical director, and then we put in a program, and we were in touch and asked if I'd be interested in going across there. I did go across to have a little look at it, and it was literally the first week in March before lockdown came in. So I know I was at Bristol Rovers at the time, and I think we played Rotherham on the Saturday, and then I flew out on the Sunday morning out to Morocco for a couple of days just to have a little look through, a little look over the place. And a fantastic place, If you do know what St George's Park is like as a training centre and a training venue, well, Morocco have got one exactly the same. It's it's fantastic, all supported by King Mohammed. It's fantastic. But unfortunately, the stop was put on it because of the travel restrictions back and forth to Morocco, and everything was put on hold. So I had to wait 15 months in the end. So waited 15 months, and then went over there then a year last September to give it a go. It was one of them things. It was a no-brainer for me at the time. All due respect, I was at Bristol Rovers in League One, and I was enjoying my time there. But I thought to myself, it's a fantastic opportunity to, go and experience a different. We're talking about players just now, and the same for coaches. Go and experience a different culture, a different continent, a different, different country, different continent, as I say. Different language, I'm working in that type of environment and putting something, really together. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out in that way. I don't think Osh received the full backing and the full support that he really deserved out there. And as I said, the opportunity was there to come back. So I came back to take up the job with the English FA. So. But yeah, it was fantastic. And as you know, Oshin has followed me back to go into to Crystal Palace with Patrick Vieira as assistant manager as well.
I think that's a very, very astute appointment by Patrick Vieira to bring in Oshan Roberts as his assistant. I think it's about as good as he could have got in terms of. I know there's other coaches and assistants out there, but I think Oshan Roberts is vastly underrated by the wider football world. Maybe not by the coaches. I'm sure the coaches know just how good he is. But I think people outside of Wales maybe don't realise quite how talented and how good a coach he is. And I think I was really, really happy to see him get that opportunity at Palace. And Palace are doing fantastic. Donna Perry says, Oshan Roberts for Cardiff. I wouldn't be disappointed, Donna, I got to say. He'd certainly be someone who I would be happy to see on the shortlist. We will talk about that shortlist in a minute.
Yeah, I think someone like Oshin, he is a top individual in the coaching world, and he's fully respected. The number of people that have gone through the Welsh FA system in recent years, Arteta, Vieira, Henry, that have become managers in their own right, and he's got the full respect of them individuals, and obviously Patrick has utilised his experience that he only knows Oshin obviously from being on the courses. So Oshin's obviously done a fantastic job there, and if a job further on down the line came out, I'm sure Oshin one day would like to be a head coach, no doubt about that. If the opportunity came up with a club like Cardiff City or Swansea City, there's no doubt that it would be something that would interest him, I would say.
So I do want to talk about the Cardiff City job actually in a minute, but before we do, there's a couple of questions still for you, Adrian. I told you you'd have lots of questions, mate. Donna says, do you scout the goalkeepers for the under-18 side as well, or are they selected and brought to you?
It's a little bit of both, to be honest. We have what we call a long list of goalkeepers. So at each age group, from 15s up to the senior squad, we have a long list of goalkeepers where you probably have maybe 8 or 9 goalkeepers at each age group on the list in the international environment. I try and get out to see every goalkeeper live, if over the period of time. So I've at least seen my goalkeepers within the age group I'm working with at the moment, predominantly twice live, 2 or 3 times on video from their games. But we also have a group of scouts that also go out and report back on them as well. But at the same time, I'm not just stuck to the under-18s. As I said, I've gone to watch Cardiff games and Swansea games where the Stoke City goalkeeper was involved in the under-21 setup. So I've gone down there to write the report on him. I've gone across to Bristol Rovers to watch another under-21 goalkeeper playing for Stevenage in League 2 while he's on loan from West Ham. So we're in the system. So as well as going out to there myself, I scout them, look at them. We do club visits and things like that as well. So I've gone into a number of different clubs, and when you've gone in and worked with them, you pick up 1 or 2 people in there and identify them also. And what we also run is what we call goalkeeping camps, national goalkeeping camps. So for the goalkeepers that might not be selected in the forthcoming international camp for November, in the next week, for instance, we do have a camp then in December, which will probably target the probably 15, 16 goalkeepers that don't get selected across the age groups.
Right.
So we're constantly seeing these goalkeepers, and you know, we can't take every goalkeeper to, you know, with me to Spain next week. Obviously, from the age group, I can only take 3 or 4 goalkeepers as a maximum. You know, so with the other 6 or 7 that are not involved, you know, they'll come into a camp next month, although they won't have specific games and a games program. What they will have is training with the national team goalkeeper coaches. So, you know, we keep a good close eye on them, and they have a good feel of things within the international environment at St George's Park.
Kate Childs asks as well, who's the best goalkeeping talent that you've ever coached?
Oh, difficult. As a talent.
Yeah.
As a talent. The talent at the time has to be Jordan, as in Jordan Pickford. Because at the time he was, when I first set eyes on Jordan, was, I think he was only 18 at the time. And actually, I first watched him. I was involved with the under-20s at the time with England in my first spell. I went to watch a game down at Yeovil, and he was actually playing for Bradford. He was on loan at Bradford City at the time, playing down at Yeovil. And in the first 2 minutes, he's come for a cross has come into the box, or a long ball has come into the box. He's come for it. I can't remember who was playing up front from Yeovil, but he was huge. He was about 6'6", and he's actually clattered into Jordan. Jordan's just hit the deck, but just got back up, sort of dusted himself down. You knew he was hurt, but he weren't going to show, while the other 6'6" guy was on the floor. And I just thought to myself at the time, "You'll do for me, son." You know, and
absolutely.
You know, I was fortunate enough then, 12 months later, to go to Sunderland and work with him. And then what we did first of all, you know, he was keen to come back after being at Bradford to go to get into the first team environment. We had Costel Pantilimon and Vito Manoni with us at the club, and Dick Advocat was the manager. And Dick wasn't keen on putting a youngster into the squad at the time, and was keen to just keep the 2 older senior pros. So I was in contact with Alan Kelly, who's now goalkeeper coach at Everton, who wanted to take Jordan to Preston. So he went on loan to Preston then in the first part of the season, and was absolutely phenomenal in the Championship. And after myself and Sam Allardyce went to watch him a couple of times, we, Sam pulled him back at Christmas time, and he made his debut then in the FA Cup game down at Arsenal. And obviously, former history will tell you what happened from there.
Absolutely. I have a question about Jordan Pickford, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything like that, but I'm genuinely interested. So in the Euros, myself and Rhodri and Andy and Gilo, we do like a few shows a week, and one of the things which came up a lot was Jordan Pickford's forms in the Euro was so good. He was, I thought, the best. Him and Donnarumma were by far the best 2 goalkeepers in the tournament. But one thing which kind of baffled me, and like I said, my son's a goalie, so I do keep quite an eye on the keepers, is I always find with Everton, I've always thought he's quite frenetic, prone to like a rush of blood and stuff like that. But whenever he plays for England, he seems so much calmer, more in control, and he just, look, to me, and look, I'm nowhere near as qualified as someone like yourself, but just to me, he looks so much more comfortable playing for England than he does for Everton, and I can't quite put my finger on why that would be, because really I suppose you'd expect him to be more comfortable with the people he trains day in, day out and stuff like that. But just wondered if you would notice like a difference.
I don't know, you know, there could be many reasons. I understand what you're saying about the odd rush of blood, and obviously working with Jordan, I know in the past he did have the odd moments of as the rush of blood, and that was probably down to a little bit of immaturity for him as a goalkeeper as he was growing older. But I've certainly seen that sort of get less and less within his game over recent years. And I was in conversation actually with individuals a few weeks ago in the senior management team at St George's Park, and they agree, like he's actually sort of really focused and really concentrated on his performances and the way he plays as a goalkeeper in recent times. at Everton, why is he probably like he is compared to England? You know, Everton are probably they're a mid-table side, you know, top 10 side. Everton, you know, so they'll get under certainly more pressure than what he does come across at England. And maybe he gets that, but when he's at England, you know, in what he's comfortable, he's playing in a top team. You know, how much work does he have at England compared to Everton? That's questionable. Probably has more work to do at Everton and more actions to make in a game than he does at England. So he's probably not tested, or his temperament is probably not tested as much in the England setup. But I just also think that he's in a really comfortable place with England. You know, people talk about, you know, should Jordan Pickford be dropped based on his Everton form, and you know, if you look at it now, where you're talking about Ramsdale's, you know, fantastic performances at Arsenal, etc. You know, Jordan's never let England down, and he's never let Gareth Southgate down in his time there. And you know, going back to the way Gareth has worked with him, you know, Gareth believes in Jordan at this particular time, and Jordan believes in Gareth and the environment he's working in as well. And probably he feels comfortable every day, and you know, and every minute he works in that environment. And you know, I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago when we bumped into each other in St George's Park, and obviously, you know, he's loving his time with England, and you know, and also at Everton, no doubt about it as well.
Rhodri, what did you think of do you know what I mean about the difference in Pickford with England and Everton? He just looks so much
maybe
so much
it's just
calmer.
a bigger occasion. He's just more concentrated. I don't know.
It could be.
There
was definitely a difference, and I think a positive difference, by the way. And I'm not criticising whatsoever.
It looks like he enjoys the bigger stage more, and that just brings more concentration to him. I don't know what, you know. Ultimately, as a keeper, you make a mistake, you lose a goal. So
it's problematic. I apologise, by the way, if people can hear fireworks going off. I have been trying to mute my microphone in between talking to try and stop it, but then, you know, it's the 5th of November. What are you going to do? I kind of wanted to finish off on Cardiff City. Obviously, they've had Steve Morrison in as coach. I think they gave him 3 games, and he's had 2 of them or 3 of them. No, the results haven't been fantastic. Obviously, we lost to Middlesbrough, which was Mick McCarthy's last game. Then you had the draw with Stoke was phenomenal. To come down from 3-0 down when you're, you know, as a club, you're battered and you're bruised because it's been a terrible run. And, you know, I think it was 8 on the bounce that we lost. So then to be 3-0 down and come back from that, I think, you know, that's you can't ask for much more. For me, I just think the football's improved straight away, which tells you a lot. You know, Steve Morrison's trying to do things a certain way. I think Kiefer Moore looks so much more like the player that he did last year, just from having Colwell and Harris and the young players running around and there being the legs for him. But the difference being the ball's on the deck a lot more. So they're not just watching the ball go to Danny Collins up front and not really being able to get involved and get on the football. I thought they did all right against QPR, but it's interesting because I think even if he wins tomorrow 4-0, I don't think he'll get the job because, and this is only my personal belief, I believe that the Cardiff board will appoint someone similar to the last 4 or 5 managers that they've appointed to play a certain way, to save money, etc., etc. But Rhodri, what have you made of his 2 games? Obviously, you had the Stoke 3-3, and then you had the 1-0 loss to QPR in midweek.
Yeah, like you say, the performance have picked up, but the results haven't. You know, it's the result business, and I'm pretty sure if he went in and he won all 3 games, then he would have had a big shout. But you know, losing the first 2,
well, they drew one and lost one.
Drawing and losing, but you know, when you go in, you expect a change. You're going to get a reaction no matter who goes in, but you know, you expect to win them games, and then you're in with a shout. But it's clutching at straws, really. But
I'm just glad to be able to watch half decent football.
You just never know. But
it's a tough league, mate, isn't it?
Say again.
It's a tough league because literally in the Championship, like everyone can beat everyone on their day.
It's a tough league, but you need a young, hungry coach to go in there. There's plenty about, but they keep on going for these dinosaurs. So
yeah,
and they keep getting in the same position. So they're not learning from the mistakes. There's plenty of hungry, young, up and coming coaches out there that that I'm pretty sure they'll do a really good job. So we should wait and see.
The other thing I was going to ask you about was so the Welsh media this week have very much been saying Craig Bellamy is the second favourite, and I've got a bit frustrated with it. And I saw someone else said in the chat they've got a bit frustrated with it because obviously Bellamy's come back from Belgium for mental health reasons, and to my knowledge, I believe at some point he had said he wouldn't want to be a manager under Vincent Tan. So I don't know if he is a viable option or not. But the Welsh media is what it is, unfortunately. But I don't know. I'm kind of interested. Adrian, who do you think would be a good fit for Cardiff going forward now? Who would you like to see? I'm sure you're familiar with a lot of young coaches around the country. Who would you like to see get a chance at a big job?
Yeah, listen, there are a lot of coaches about, and there's a lot of coaches out of work that'll be prepared to go in. Cardiff City is a bit, in the Championship is a big club, and as we know, if you can get someone in there and they're winning games, you fill the ground, no doubt about it. Who's out there who can do it? There are people that have been mentioned in the past, the likes of the Jody Morrises of this world have been mentioned in the past, etc. And yeah, I've watched Cardiff a couple of times. My lad is a season ticket holder down there, so he tells me everything that's going on down there also. But is it time for the change of as Rhodri said, with the type of manager that they've had in recent times? Neil Warnock's been in there, and Mick McCarthy in recent times. Probably similar types of managers, similar sort of playing styles, etc. And maybe that only goes so far. I was thinking the other day, if you look at, how many young players have Cardiff got under the age of 20, 24 playing now in the first team? How many's playing? 3 or 4?
Off the top of my head, I'd say at least 4. I think it's probably a couple more. There's 6 in the squad, I think.
Yeah, so my thought around it a little bit is that these players, as you just spoke about, have all probably come through an academy system, and in the academy system, all due respect, they don't play the type of football that they've, as you said, they've been playing in recent times. So yes. It's actually new to them, and they want to get the ball on the floor, they want to play, and they might not be doing it. That's how it maybe looks a little bit from a distance. I might be totally wrong, and they might be trying to do the things in training throughout the week and on a Saturday, but they just can't do it. I don't know, but I think Cardiff need a little bit of a change of style. Maybe like you said, a ball playing manager that wants to keep the ball on the floor a little bit more. But with that, you need the players that actually fit into the for the system and the style of play as well. And if I'm hearing what I'm hearing, where there might be not a lot of funds available for the next manager in, that might be difficult to actually do. But at the same time, if there are funds available and they can recruit well in the next window, then the first thing Cardiff need to do is get up the table, and get some points on the board. Let's not think that they're going to be getting into the playoffs and all that at the moment. But if they can get on a little run of things, you have you see Nottingham Forest at the moment, who are bottom of the league with a couple of points, and since their new managers came in, they put a little run together, and they may be 4 or 5 points off the playoffs. And unfortunately, you probably hate me for saying it, but even Swansea at the moment, a couple of results together, and then a couple of points off the playoffs. And there's no reason why Cardiff can't do that. But they need to get a manager in there or make a decision on the manager quickly, and then hopefully they can progress where they need to be, and that's further up the league than where they are now. Yeah,
I mean the other thing as well is Cardiff's under-23 side, I think, have played 8-1-8 and they're top of the league. Now, I know that it's a big step up, isn't it, from the 23s to the Championship. But they've obviously got the young talent there. A lot of them have come through the system, which Bellamy changed when he was there. Now, of course, no one really knows what's going on, whether he's interested in the job and stuff like that. But these young managers, a lot of them, like you say, have worked with young players as they're doing their badges, they're doing various things. They're used to working with those young footballers. So it's almost like another reason why I think Cardiff do need to go down that route. I just pray they don't go the usual route, unfortunately. But I mean, Rhodri, do you think there's something with that as well? Be like a lot of your Jody Morris's, John Terry's, whoever, like all these different young managers that we've talked about in recent weeks. They probably spent a lot of their recent years coaching under 23s, under 19s, these sort of age groups. So they are used to working with the younger footballers.
No, but they've got experience in the game as well, and you just keep going with these same old of the same old. Mick McCarthy, Neil Warnock, Neil Harris. Neil Harris is not so old. It just didn't work out. But just name Jody Morris, John Terry, Robbie Fowler, who's ex-Cardiff City. There's a few that you can rattle off.
The interesting one for me would have been like, obviously James Rhodri has just left Cardiff and gone to Newport. I actually watched James's first game against Bristol Rovers, and Newport. You could see what he was trying to do. He had a method in what he was trying to do with the players that he had there, which was really refreshing. I know James is a young coach, and certainly one that wants to play football. And, that was great to see. And obviously his second game, I think they beat Stevenage on the weekend, 5-0, I think it was. So, he's had a great start to his managerial career. And I actually thought, I think he left Cardiff on the Tuesday or the Wednesday before the Middlesbrough game, if I'm right.
Yeah, I think it was something around then, wasn't it?
What would have happened if he had stayed on a couple more days? If they were going to make a change, would they have given James an opportunity? Could James have changed it? That would have been an interesting one. And, probably James would have be thinking, what if? But he's gone now, so he can't do anything about it. But for someone who's I would have liked to have seen James being given 3 or 4 games, with the support of Morrison and I think Tommy Ramsey's down there as well. I think helping out. So I would have liked to have seen that. That there's a little combination, initially, because they don't know the players. Like you said, and worked with James knows the players. James would have known the younger players. He would have also known the experienced players also, and he may have got better results than what they had in the last 2 games, anyways. But hey, who knows?
I've heard from a few people I know down there that James Rhodri is an exceptional coach. Like as well as being a very lovely man, he's supposed to be. Really, what's the word? Really knowledgeable around football and the way he looks at it. But yeah, that's an interesting one. Another interesting one for me this week, which I saw, was Michael Beale, who is the current Rangers manager. Apparently, been told by Gabby Agbonglahor that he should take the Cardiff City job, which I thought that was a bit left field. But again, young manager. I think he's 41. I'd be surprised if he was to leave Rangers for. He's not Rangers manager, is he? Because Stephen Gerrard's Rangers manager, but I think he's working up. Sorry, getting confused reading at the same time. But I mean, it'd be interesting. He was one out with the blue. There's been a few different names. I'm not even sure anymore which one I want.
Michael Flynn was high up there on the odds, and he seems to have quietened off. So,
last week he was I think one of the ones we were talking about, wasn't it? It was him and someone else, Robbie Fowler, who were kind of moving up towards the top of the list. They've got to get it right. I think that's what it comes down to. Is they've got to get it right this time. So the odds as of this morning, Michael Flynn was favourite, Jody Morris second favourite, Steve Morrison Craig Houghton, Chris Wilder, Michael Beale, Anthony Barry, Neil Harris. Oh my good God. Alex Neil, Michael Appleton, Neil Warnock's 20-1, Paul Warne, and then Roy Keane. They're the sort of.
Say Neil Warnock then.
Yeah, Neil Warnock's 20.
Was that on Paddy Power then?
I saw it's through Wales Online, so I'm not 100% sure which bookie they were using. Sky Bet is from.
Yeah. You can't use them words on you, sure.
Can't use them. I mean, disgraceful. Look, there he is with his Paddy Power mug.
Yeah. That should be the mug he should be holding, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he should bring it. We should bring it with him every week, shouldn't he? Let's be honest. Rangers number 2 to Steven Gerrard. Michael Beale, sorry.
Michael Beale, yeah.
I was trying to read and talk, which is never a good thing for me.
I think they just want to sort it out quickly, don't they? They need to decide which way they're going to go. If it's Steve Morrison, it's Steve Morrison. Give him the job and get on with it. If it's not Steve Morrison, get the right person in and crack on as well. Fingers crossed they'll do it quickly and they'll be able to get a few points on the board.
100%. Just before we wrap up, I got one question for you, Adrian, but I want to put this comment to both of you because I've got my own opinion, but I want to hear your opinion first. GD Parry in the comments says the SPL is championship level, so going from Rangers to Cardiff is not a step down. What do you think about that? Is Rangers to Cardiff a step down?
Yeah, I disagree. You don't realise how big Glasgow Rangers are. Both of them. Celtic and Glasgow across the world. So, yeah, Cardiff City are a big club, but they're not the size of Glasgow Rangers and Celtic. Yeah,
50,000, 60,000 every week. All right, European football up until Christmas. You know what I mean?
I 100% agree. I was surprised by the comment.
But
so I wondered.
It seems to be a stepping stone as well for young managers. Look at Brendan Rodgers goes up there and does it well and comes back. So you can do well up there and come back. So
was it you, Rhodri, who said to me last week about Brendan Rodgers taking over United from Solskjaer, or was that someone else?
Yeah, no, I would take Brendan Rodgers. Yeah,
I think that appointment makes sense. But then I saw someone else. I think it might have even been in the comments say that. That's almost like a sideways move. He's the same level as Solskjaer. I disagree with that completely.
Yeah,
Brendan Rodgers is
well. Brendan Rodgers has been. He's gone through the ranks. He's done his apprenticeship.
Yeah,
he's been all over the show and had some downs.
He would be a top manager for Manchester United.
Yeah, I think with his Liverpool experience as well.
From that,
that's invaluable experience that he's had. Coming so close and with a talented bunch of United. So yeah,
the more I thought about it after you said it,
happened because of his Liverpool connection.
Interesting. Like the more I thought about it after you said it, I thought, you know what? Out of all the managers which I sort of look around, I think he could be the one who might actually have the right mix of playing the way they would need to play, they want to play, but also maybe just bringing back.
A good coach doesn't matter what players you got. You find a system, and friends, whoever you're playing against, a good coach can adapt. And
this is why these perceived dinosaur managers, I believe, are struggling in more recent years, because if you're a manager, I think when you come in, you've got your preferred tactics and system, but ultimately you've got to find a way to play with the players that you've got available, because you can't, if you try and, I think a lot of the time, if you try and force those players who are used to play in a certain way, or their talents would mean that they'd probably be best suited to a certain way of playing. If you try and force them into playing a different way, which they're not as suitable for, I don't think it's going to work right. You've got to try and find a way to play which suits the players you've got.
With some of these old managers as well, it's different times now, and you speak to these modern day players the way you spoke to the way you used to. They just won't respond. They'll just tell you. They just switch off. They're a lot more temperamental these days. Mental health and all that rubbish. So. Yeah, you've got to be careful, because you only need to lose one or two players in a change room, and it can ruin it for you all. So yes, you've got to be a good coach, but you've got to be a good manager as well. These days, you've got to know how to talk to people.
Yeah, there's a lot of things, you know, and that these managers, you talk about the Rangers and Celtic, and I get the understanding that people talk about, you know, the Scottish Premier League being on par with the Championship, and you know, there's only 1 or 2 teams in Scotland, and the rest are, you know, League One-ish and that type of thing. I get all that, but you know, the Rangers Celtic thing is it's all the baggage that comes with it. You know, all the things that come with it, like the fans, the press, the world stage that they're on, and you know, that type of thing. And it's massive, far more than what you know dealing with the South Wales Echo on a daily basis. You know what I mean? All due respect,
Yeah,
and that's what it is. And Manchester United was exactly the same. You know, I've been fortunate enough to work with a former Manchester United manager myself, and you know, and it's a massive, you know, surprise in a way to people how big clubs like Manchester United are, not just about being on the field, but all the baggage that comes with it for a manager off the field as well. And you know, and that's a lot to also deal with on top of trying to prepare a team for Saturday. You know, and you know, you go back to like what Solskjaer had to deal with after the Liverpool game. Do you know what I mean? It's unbelievable. That must be unbelievable pressure on a manager to deal with. You ain't going to get that at Cardiff City, all due respect, or Swansea City for that matter. You know what I mean? But like Manchester United, the Rangers, the Celtic, they get that this week in, week out if you don't win 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the European Cup final in Manchester. It just took over Manchester. There was 100,000 people there.
I remember Celtic coming down at, what was it, about 15, 20 years ago, playing into Cardiff. Went into Cardiff and they played at Ninian Park. And I think they brought about 15,000 down with them. You know what I mean?
That's
the ground was full, and there was like 50,000 people in the city centre just watching it on a big screen, just to be near there. So it's you can't, you know, they're a massive team. Both of them are massive. Probably Celtic bigger than Rangers, because you know, Celtic with the European adventures and winning the cup and so on. But you know,
I think there's been a manager in the Scottish Premiership in the clubs like, you know, someone like Stevie Gerrard now, for instance. You know, it's a great apprenticeship to do as a manager before coming into the Premier League. Is he going to come in at one of the top 6 clubs? You know, I'll be surprised unless it's Liverpool. You know what I mean? That type of thing as a player.
Yeah, I can't see him.
But, you know, Steve Gerrard ended up coming down to a Newcastle or an Aston Villa. You know, he would have actually, you know, served a great apprenticeship by dealing with what he's dealing with in Rangers at the moment.
Absolutely. I just want to clarify something, because there's a few comments about what I said. When I refer to dinosaur managers, I'm not referring to age. I'm referring to style of play, refusal to adapt tactics as football's evolved. So Craig Sullivan said Moyes adapted. He's managed over 1,000 games. Claudio Ranieri is old, but won a Premier League, but he plays very good football with a high press. And Ferguson, again, you know,
these managers, Claudio Ranieri won the Premier League. He was the other one you said.
Wenger, like all these Moyes, Ferguson.
There's levels. There's levels. You know, Mick McCarthy just come from Cyprus
after getting sacked, by the way, as well. Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure there's enough coaches around that you don't have to go looking in Cyprus in a pub league. So.
Yeah, I think what these managers, you know, David Moyes has been mentioned, I think, on the chats and things like that. You know, if you have a look who now David Moyes has by his side, that they're young up and coming coaches or coaches that are just coming through the system that can add modern day thoughts processes to actually his management style and that type of thing. So, you know, again, people like Sam Allardyce, I was fortunate enough to work with Sam at Sunderland as well. You know, he used to have, you know, people around him that done jobs for him, you know, and I certainly felt like a cog in his wheel. You know, he had what he had was the best people around him. That's what, in his words, you know, to do the different jobs of sports science, the diet, the nutrition, the coaching, and he would then manage, which was his strong point. And, you know, we managed to get, you know, the success that we, you know, managed to get and create the little bit of success up in Sunderland under him. So, and then he went on for the England job. And when he goes into England and he brings people around him that can support him within that sort of environment as well. And even at the same time, when he went to West Brom recently, again, he brought a young coach in as Robbie Stockdale that worked with him at Sunderland, with modern ideas, new coaching methods, etc. And he'd link in and he'd pick and choose what he wanted. And I think, you know, that's a thing with top managers now, the likes of David Moyes and Sam Allardyce and people like that. You know, they are actually adapting to the way the world and the way the game is going because they want to stay in the game as long as they can.
Spot on. And I think, do you know what? Sam Allardyce gets a load of grief for the way he plays football. But actually, I don't believe he gets enough credit for being one of the first managers to really hone in on using sports science and stuff.
Is a myth. It's a myth.
He was one of the first managers to really use sports science to on a daily basis. And I think people forget that and they just lazy in it. It's like a lazy assumption that Sam Allardyce long ball football, where if you actually look like Adrian's just said there about the coaches, the people he has around him. I was just looking at David Moyes' coaching team at West Ham. This might not be completely up to date, but he's got Stuart Pearce, he's got Kevin Nolan, Paul Nevin, Billy McKinley, and the goalkeeper coach is Xavi Valero. Yeah. All of them are pretty young, not long out of football.
He's got some of his lieutenants there that he has and he's trusted over time. You know, the likes of Billy McKinley was with us at Sunderland. He's worked with Stuart Pearce in the past, but you know, people like Paul Nevin, he's actually Garrett's assistant with the England senior team. You know, he's a modern. He would be one of them sort of modern day coaches that have, you know, come into the sort of done his coaching badges in the last sort of 6, 7, 8, 9 years, that type of thing. Kevin Nolan just finishing the game. So he's surrounding himself with people that can support himself as a manager, and I think that's what a lot of the top managers do now. And they're not scared to do that. They're not scared to do that. Absolutely. If you look at the managers that we've mentioned tonight, I'm not sure how often they've changed their management team or the dynamics of their management team in the last 10 years themselves.
Yeah, they kind of rely on the same players, don't they? Time again.
Ferguson was a master at it. He'd done it every 3 or 4 years.
Exactly.
Brian Kidd, Archie Knox, Brian Clidd, McLaren, Squaros. You just go. The list goes on and on.
Yeah, and he stayed as the manager at the head, but he keeps changing people within that, and it just keeps things fresh. It gives him fresh ideas, gives him fresh impetus.
I remember when Carlos Queiroz come in, and it totally changed it. Some of them didn't actually like it, but it made them better. Like small stuff as well, like staying in hotels before games and stuff like that. It was little tweaks that he did that made them better.
100%. You mentioned Robbie Stockdale, Adrian. We had last year. We were lucky enough to we had Robbie Stockdale on. We had Graham Jones as well, who's obviously been involved in the England setup. And I got to say, I could literally have sat there and listened to those two guys talk about coaching and football and just the way they view the game. I could have sat there for hours and listened to them. They were so. I found it really refreshing, just the way they view the game. How they were talking about dealing with individual players, different personalities, and that's what it's about. Is evolving, and I think that's a big part of which ones of all these different managers and coaches will be successful now over the next 20 years. Is the ones that keep evolving and they keep refreshing their coaching teams and things like that. Right, I've got one last question for you, Adrian. It's not a very long one. What advice would you give to someone who's 16, 17, like my son, he's in full-time education, like sixth form, he's got a part-time job, but he also would like to start doing coaching badges and stuff like that towards a goalkeeper coaching thing, alongside the other stuff? What would your advice be to him in terms of
get on the coaching pathway? No doubt about him. My lad is 18. He's just started a university degree down at the University of South Wales, which involves coaching and performance. But while he was still in school, it sounds like when he was in the what year is it? Year 11.
Yeah, I think it was. Well, he's in year 12 now. At the moment.
When he was in year 11, year 12, he was doing his coaching badges then. So he's already done his UEFA certificate or UFSC license already. He's doing some voluntary work, within the local authority here in Caerphilly. So, he does a lot of work there. He's actually running his own little mini football camp, mini football sessions now for kids in the area, aged between sort of 5 and 8 years of age.
Yeah.
So, and he's done that on, not with me pushing him along. He actually just getting on the coaching ladder. So, if you look on the websites, obviously here in South Wales, it'd be on the FAW website. There's many courses that you can get on, goalkeeper courses, outfield courses, and I think if you can get involved with them and link that in with maybe doing some after school clubs at the former schools, former primary schools, they're always looking for people that you can get a little bit of experience under your belt, working with the young children first and foremost, and then hopefully you get a little bit of a bug and progress how you're doing. You need a little bit of luck along the way, no doubt about it. But I think if you show a little bit of willing to learning and developing, there's lots of people out there that's gonna help any young individual out there in the male and female game. Don't forget.
Absolutely, great stuff. Yeah, he's done a bit of coaching. He does a little bit with the year 7s, and he does some goalkeeper coaching with his younger brother's team. He helps out with them, so he's kind of looking towards it. But no, Adrian, I really appreciate you joining us, mate. It's been really interesting, and
no problem. Anytime.
Been loving it, mate, and it's been good. Rhodri, we haven't heard so much from you today.
You did mention that you'd like to be sitting with me and Rhodri for an hour as well, and talking for hours like you did with Robbie and Graham.
Well, I could listen to you, Adrian, for hours, mate. Yeah,
goalkeeping different. Get him off. Kicking.
No, he's been quiet tonight because we gave you the window to speak, so to speak. But he's normally got plenty to say, hasn't he?
To be honest, I was a little bit concerned when I received a text this morning from him about going on. I'm sure he was going to stitch me up or mention about our time in Torquay all them years ago.
Well, there's still time. We're still live.
No, we had a great time. To be fair, I haven't got any stories on him. To be fair, I'll keep them as professional as I can. But no, I remember a young. I think it was Rhodri Jones when he came down to Torquay first of all.
Rodney
Jones. Rhodri Jones came down to Torquay, and he had to come under an alias, because people didn't want to know, his family, that type of thing. But unfortunately, as soon as he walked through the door, everybody knew who he looked like, as an individual. And we spent a good bit of time there. Our families become quite close. Obviously, his grandparents and some of his family lived in Cardiff, and they become close to my mum and dad as well, and travel back and forth, and so on. And no, we had a great time down there. Become apprentices together for near on 12 months, and lived together down at Kerry Park Road. And now we had some good times, together growing up, as young lads. As I think we were about 17, 18 at the time. And the true thing is that what we nearly 20 years later now, we're still in touch. And a couple of months back he popped up, but when he was visiting his family down in Cardiff, and as he said, we had a game of golf at the local golf club here in Caerphilly, and that was good. So he's always someone I've been in touch with, or tried to stay in touch with, and it's fantastic to see him doing well himself now as well.
He's telling me, I forgot this story, but he said the coach used to come and check us when we was on for curfews, and I was always coming late, so he's coming. The coach.
Oh, you want me to tell you them stories?
He's in the bath. Climbing the drain pipe.
Yeah. Well, he's actually, you might know, there was a guy. His name was Paul Compton. So Paul's actually lives in the Barry area now. And
I seen him a few years ago. He was at the Cardiff game with him.
Yeah, he's a scout now. He's a scout. I think he's scouting with Southampton now at the moment. So yeah, me and Rhodri used to stay in the same place. But Rhodri had he liked going down to the town centre in an evening. He said he used to like playing on the old the 2p machines, the pushing and sliding.
Oh yeah.
That's what he said anyway. And one evening we had a big bay window in the front in in the house that we were at, and I seen a van pull by, and it was the Torquay United youth team bus, and it stopped outside Paul Compton. I thought, shit, can I swear on it?
Yeah, carry on.
It's Comps. He's coming around to check on Rhodri. So he looks through the window, bangs the door. Where's Rhodri? He's upstairs. I think he's upstairs having a bath. I think. Let me in. So shit, let him in. Straight upstairs. Nobody in the bath, obviously. Where is he? I said, I don't know. He said, okay, no problem. I'll sit here. So he just sat in the front living room until he came back. So all of a sudden, I see about an hour or so later, I see this head pop through the window, looking in and realizing Comps was there, and he goes round the back, and all of a sudden, about 10 minutes later, I just hear these screams, help, help, help. So we open the back door, and there he is. Some donut is trying to climb up the drain pipe, trying to get in the window back in without Comps seeing him into the bath. So he got caught out there. But we had some fun when we was down there with this guy. So we enjoyed it. It's a great part of the world and a great little club down there. And hopefully before long they'll be back in League Two and working their way maybe up the system.
Absolutely good stuff. Gaz says that we should get Adrian on the My Story series as well. So there we go. So people have enjoyed you, mate. The series, I do a series of like people's life stories and stuff. So that's what he's referring to. But
listen, I'm happy without me going on. Listen, I'm a Valley boy at the end of the day, and I know there's a lot of people probably on the podcast here from this neck of the woods as well. And I'm fortunate about the career and the pathway I've gone through. And when I was brought up in Merthyr Tydfil in the area and went to school in Merthyr, and followed the pathway as I just mentioned down at Torquay and so on, and went into coaching, and I'll happily share my experiences and how I went about it and what happened, and if that helps a couple of individuals going further down the line, like your son and any other son or daughter out there, then yeah, I'd be more than happy to speak to you guys again.
Good stuff. Rhodri, mate, as ever, it's been a pleasure. Don't forget to do your Super 6 predictions ready for tomorrow.
No, yeah.
Don't want to forget that. I need those 2 points, mate. Got to keep my 26-point lead. You could catch me now by the end of next week. It could be neck and neck.
By Christmas it'd be over.
Mate. I'll be top of the league by Christmas. I'm just lulling everyone into a false sense of security, and then I'm coming in the home straight. 15 points every week. Bang. Here we go. It's been a pleasure. Thank you to everyone who's watched, and of course the people who download it and everything afterwards. Appreciate you all. We'll be back next Friday. I will be back on Sunday for the fight show with Danny and Ben Doty and probably a special guest as well. We're talking the Canelo Alvarez boxing tomorrow, UFC and many other things. And then I'll be live on Monday as well myself. And new sponsor for Monday as well. So look out for that as well. Lots of things going on. And we got something else on Tuesday, Rhodri, as well. So we got all sorts of things next week, mate. All sorts of things.
What have you got Tuesday?
You've got the thing on Tuesday with me.
Right, yeah.
well, listen, I'll be in Spain next Tuesday. But if you want to give me a buzz,
I'll be down for Christmas again. So I'll catch you at Christmas.
I could do a live show from the beachfront in Murphy on Tuesday.
It's just bad, isn't it?
I might have three lions on the chest then.
Cheers, guys. See you next week.
Good luck. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, bye.